Welcome to the Savvy Ladies Wednesday Wisdom webinar. I'm Maggie Montemuro and I'm the Marketing Manager at Savvy Ladies. If you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the chat box. If you're joining us by phone, you can email your question to info@savvyladies.org. Today's presenters are Kimberly Mishkin and Lisa Caldwell, co-founders of SAS for Women, which provides divorce coaching and support for women who are considering, in the process of, or recovering from divorce. Kimberly is a certified divorce coach and a grief recovery specialist. Lisa is a certified professional coach recognized by the International Coach Federation. The mission of SAS for Women is to provide women comprehensive support as they navigate and grow from the process of major life changes. Thanks, Kim and Lisa, for being with us today, and I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Savvy Ladies, for inviting us here today, and thanks to everyone who took time out of their day to join us on the call. We're happy to have you here. As Maggie said, I'm Kimberly Mishkin, and I'm here also with my partner, Lisa Caldwell. Together, we founded SAS for Women, Support and Solutions for Thriving Beyond Divorce. We look forward to sharing our ideas today about pre-divorce strategies. We've identified 10 things you can do before you ever make a decision to divorce or not to divorce. But before we get started, Lisa, you want to stop and tell everybody a little bit more about SAS?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Welcome, ladies. We identify where you are if you're on this call for pre-divorce strategies. Because, when Kim and I were navigating our own individual divorces, we found it very isolating, baffling, confusing, even paralyzing. We wondered why there was no place to go to understand actually what to do. We were educated women, after all, and we were used to problem solving. But what made divorce so different? Flash forward, we created a model we wish we had when we were navigating our own experiences. A place where a woman can go either in person or via telephone and be holistically supported. Because we're educators, we each have a master's in education and gender studies. We've done a lot of research on how women navigate crisis. And we know divorce is not just a legal or financial dilemma. It impacts all aspects of your life. Our work, as a result, helps you take control of all aspects of your world. And to do this effectively, you need to be educated on what your real world choices are. But you also must get educated on what your fears are. What about your confidence? And explore, and you have to understand your emotions. This requires support. And this is why we also became certified coaches. We don't want you to just know about the process, like from a book, but to reconnect with yourself so you do the right thing for you and your family. And one last note that we like to say is that we are not divorce advocates, but we do believe everyone has a right to not live in pain and to know what is possible for her life.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So if you're here with us today, we know that you may not know whether you want a divorce or not, and that's absolutely okay. But we're betting that you need something to change. Things are not working the way they are right now. So maybe you're curious about what would happen if you got a divorce, or maybe you're thinking about how you can save the marriage. But either way, something's got to change.
Yeah, the ideas we're going to share are things you can begin to do right now before you make any big decisions. What you need to remember is being proactive doesn't mean anything other than you are taking measures to take care of yourself.
So there are things you can do. What kinds of things are we talking about here? We've brought you 10 different ideas that you can do today to get started, things that will educate you, prepare you for whatever is to come, and oftentimes, honestly, it can help you make the decision in the end.
They fall into two categories primarily. We like to call it the practical and the emotional. And we'll start now with some of the practical ideas. Number one, start saving money. We encourage you to start saving money now, either in a separate bank account that only you have access to, or even just squirreling it away in a safe and secret spot. Every woman should have money of her own that she can access when she needs it. Consider it your rainy day fund. Hopefully, you'll never need it, but if there ever comes a moment when you do, when you need to get a hotel room for a few nights, when you need to consult with an attorney, or have to have the first month's rent for a new place, you want to have the money to do that.
That's right. And for you moms on the call, you'll recognize in the picture the baby wipe container. So you do definitely want to, if you're saving cash, put it where someone will not find it. Um, Please take a minute. Notice at the bottom of the slide. At the bottom of most of the slides, you're going to notice a URL from our website. That's a corresponding article that will expand on each of these ideas and give you even more ideas. We do encourage you to visit the website after today, and there are lots of articles and videos on a wide variety of topics. We could only fit so much into today's half an hour, so we wanted you to be able to continue on this train of thought.
And you will have notebooks and pens today, right? For little things that pop up that you might want to ask more questions about. There'll be time at the end, we hope, to answer some of your questions. But there's some important stuff here that you may want to write down. For example, the next slide, you'll see there's kind of information overload. Those are a lot of lines and references to things.
Exactly. So our tip number 2 is that you start to gather and organize your financial information. And by that, we mean all your bank statements, your household bills, getting your account numbers together. What you'll see here is a partial list. You can find a comprehensive list on our website in that article listed at the bottom of your screen. Again, it's good to gather and have access to this information no matter what. And if you do decide later that divorce is the best decision for your family, this will be required anyway, so you'll be ready. It's better to get organized now and know where everything is and understand your finances while you aren't in a panic. And quite honestly, you don't know what's going to happen later. Sometimes spouses can be unpredictable and either refuse to let you access it later or may even hide it. You just don't know, so you want to be prepared now. I'll give you a quick personal story. I ended up patching together all my financial information by looking through the recycling. So, and I wished I had thought about it before I got into that panic and was scrambling to find out what I needed.
Oh, that's right, Kim, and that's a genuine reality that you're panicking and trying to pull it together. And when that happens, we know that we often miss things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'd also like you to add to this list, ladies, is the idea of a password list, right? How many times do we forget our passwords? So it's important for you to have that list too. Moving to number 3 is strategize as to how you might pay for a divorce. You know, we probably don't have to tell you this. Fear often holds us back, keeping us in a place of indecision. Most of us have heard that divorce is expensive, and you may be wondering how you'd even pay for a divorce if you decided to get one. Please know we recommend you meet with a divorce coach who can give you an overview of the divorce process, costs, and what options might exist for you. Are you a good candidate for mediation, for example? A legal consultation with a lawyer is a good idea to hear firsthand legal answers to some of your most pressing questions. But we also know that meeting with a lawyer can be really scary, and you might not be ready for that. Just know, and you will hear this time and time again from us in these 30 minutes, that meeting with a lawyer or a divorce coach or a financial advisor to discuss the idea of a divorce does not mean you are getting a divorce. It means you're getting informed about possibilities for your life. So if you're not ready to meet with a lawyer right now, maybe one step for you is to understand how much a retainer might cost and to start saving in the event that day comes. How will you pay for it? Putting legal costs on your credit card is an option for some people, or borrowing against your retirement might be another way that you could secure the money you need in the future. Or think about if you could borrow money from a friend or family member. You might offer to pay them interest to make it more palatable. Start brainstorming now. Understanding your options and creating plans may help alleviate your fear and give you some breathing room so you can decide your next step.
So another thing we recommend, number 4, set up a new private email exclusively for your divorce research. Open an account with an anonymous name and a random password, something that someone from your family would never recognize. It's free, and you're going to use this account just for research. There are a lot of good divorce resources out there now, which honestly is quite a shift from just a few years ago. When Lisa and I started in 2012, there
Sure.
was very little out there. I mean, divorce coach wasn't even a search term.
Mm-hmm.
And now you'll find pages and pages of things, which is fabulous. Take advantage of all of that. There are free newsletters, videos, ebooks, webinars, calls, and free consultations that are all available to you. If you go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, for example, you'll get 6 months of coaching letters for free, along with notifications about our local and online events. We also offer, as most coaches do, free consults. So we encourage you to take advantage of anything that you can. You are in information gathering mode. You'll hear this from us a lot too. And we want to reiterate, this doesn't mean you're deciding anything right now. You'll decide when you have all the facts and when you're ready.
Number 5, ladies, and this is so hard to do, keep your social media comments neutral. It's tempting to vent online, right? Because surely someone out there must understand how frustrated you are with your spouse. And you bet there are. But is everyone on Facebook your true, intimate, trusted friend? Avoid venting on social media or posting pictures that might compromise you or cause problems for you down the road. Remember, anything you put out there is forever. It can be captured on a screenshot, forwarded, or shared. If you should move ahead with divorce, negative comments can come into play and be used against you. Before you hit share, think about whether or not you'd be okay with your kids seeing each comment you put out there.
So now let's move into the more emotional realm. We have 5 more things that you can do to help protect yourself emotionally. First of all, recognize you don't know what you don't know. Don't get overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many question marks. Remind yourself that you can't be expected to know anything, let alone everything, right now. You'll learn as you go. After all, I don't know about you guys, but nobody majors in divorce. None of us knew how to do this when we're faced with it. So what you need to do is tell yourself this: I am in information gathering mode, and my only job is to learn. That's my job right now.
At the same time, ladies, don't isolate yourself. This is the worst thing you can do. And it's also the first thing you do.
Mhm.
This is not the right time to try, though, to do everything by yourself. It's important to surround yourself with the right people who can help you find the answers you need and the solace that you seek. Watch out for your friends or acquaintances who feel compelled to share their horror divorce stories. Their stories are not yours. What happened to them is not necessarily going to happen to you. Remember that.
That's right. And, I just want to add to that, you have a lot of control over this process. And it doesn't have to be ugly. It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be nasty. So there are choices that we make all along the way. And engaging in these stories or letting yourself kind of get drug into the negativity is not the way to start off this process.
That's right.
So Lisa mentioned being careful, or sorry, Lisa mentioned talking with others. It is really important that you talk with others. But we also caution you to be careful in whom you confide. You do need people. You're going to need people to help you process all the information that you're gathering and to provide some real feedback for you because it's hard. You need perspective. But we recommend that you keep that circle small, only confiding in trusted friends or professionals that won't judge, won't gossip, and who really, really do have your best interests at heart.
Yeah, and on that note, Kim, I'm just going to share something that came up in a session with a client recently.
Mm.
And that was she had an isolated email address for which and through which she was um, collecting information on the divorce that she thinks she's going to have to pursue. And she's kept it segregated so that the people she's reaching out to, me, her divorce coach, the lawyers she's speaking to, anyone that she's talking to about the situation is in that email account. However, I want to have you all hear this, ladies. Her mother and her father continue to write on her personal email address. And they actually were very expansive about her situation. And so I'm drawing your attention that be careful in whom you confide and also how you can converse with them. If you're talking about the divorce, it really should only go through that email address. So caution your friends, the ones you're confiding in, to not use the wrong email, the one they may be accustomed to refer to your dilemma.
Yeah, and I'll even expand on that even a little bit more just in terms of what happened when I was going through it. I was in a place, I was at first telling anybody who would listen my story. And I made the mistake of telling people at work. And that later, after I was kind of in a better place emotionally, I was kind of horrified and I wished I'd never hadn't told half the people my details. So that's why we say keep that circle small and pick and choose carefully who you're sharing with because you don't want to regret anything later like I did. So it's important that you do have your circle of trust, so to speak.
A lot of these tips, ladies, are, and we, as Kim mentioned, we have more. They're really based on our experiences with women. It's really grounded in field work and real time, real lives.
Yeah.
So number 9, ladies, is understanding the bigger picture. Divorce is not just a legal dilemma, it's a whole life challenge. That's what we believe. Deciding to divorce at first seems like a legal question. You suspect you need an attorney, but beyond that, you aren't sure. Divorce is not just a legal dilemma, it truly is this whole life challenge. It affects your finances, your home life, your parenting, your career. It's going to impact your whole identity, not to mention your heart, your body, your mind, and soul. Before you decide anything, meet with a professional. This is what we suggest, such as a divorce coach or a therapist, to help you sort out all your thoughts and feelings about what's next. And no, you'll hear it again, meeting with a divorce coach or with a lawyer does not mean you are getting a divorce. Get a plan together for all the different parts of your life so that you are back in control.
And that's a good point, Lisa, because when we feel out of control, that's what's so scary. There's a lot of unknowns here, a lot of things to be decided. You want to make changes, but you're not sure what to change. And it feels all very out of control. So when you start doing things like meeting with someone who's trained to help you understand what's happening, like meeting with a friend who you've allowed in enough to know what's going on, you start to then feel more in control, and therefore you're able to take some action. So it's really important that you look at this as in the big picture.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add to that, Kim, when you can create that little space and preparing for divorce, taking these steps that we're suggesting creates this kind of space. We know that it brings your stress level down. Regardless, there is stress involved in this, but being mindful of that and recognizing that stress actually impacts your genuine critical thinking and decision-making skills is an important concept. You want to learn how to take control of your stress or mitigate it to some degree so that you can make the right kinds of decisions. You'll make better decisions if you're creating space around them.
That's right. So the one thought we want to leave you with for sure is number 10, which is give yourself a break. We know you might be feeling scared, fearful, maybe even a little paralyzed, unable to make a move one way or another. You might have been here a while, back and forth, should I or shouldn't I? Or maybe you're just numb, resigned, feeling defeated, like this is it, this is all I got. Whatever it is, listen, it's okay. It's completely normal to feel all mixed up. One day to the next, you might feel different. That's all okay. Give yourself a break. This is a big topic we're tackling here. And
And
when
you've
you,
probably never been here before,
yeah,
right? As Kim
yeah,
said, you didn't major in this in college.
that's right.
But recognize that by being on this call today, you've already taken a step, actually. And now the key is to continue that momentum, taking one step at a time. Thank you for listening to us, ladies, and we'd love to open it up now to hear your questions, and we'll try to answer them.
I
Thanks, Kim
think,
and Lisa.
yeah, let me, right as while we're waiting for some questions to come in, let me tell you everybody how they can connect with us, if that's
Oh,
okay.
excuse me. Absolutely.
I think I'd like to point out a couple things. We really encourage you to connect with us, and there are several ways to do that. If you go to our website, sasforwomen.com, you can do several things. You can sign up for our 6-month email coaching program, and once a week you'll get an email with ideas and inspiration and coaching exercises, lots of things to help get you moving in a forward direction. You can also sign up for a free 45-minute consultation. And during that meeting, we promise you'll walk away with something, either a new perspective, some resources, hopefully a mini action plan. We can do that consultation in person. We have a Manhattan and a White Plains office. Or if you don't live in the area, we meet with women all over the world by telephone and Skype. Once you're on that email list, you'll receive information about our upcoming online and local events. For example, we do a free monthly call on a wide variety of topics. And finally, if you aren't quite ready to sign up for anything and you just want to stay quiet about all this, we get that too. But visit our website to read. We have lots of articles there and we're always adding more. We're pretty sure you'll find something there that speaks to you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Savvy Ladies, for having us today.
Thanks, Kim and Lisa. So if anyone has a question now, just a reminder, you can use the chat box in Fuse here, or you can email info@savvyladies.org. And the first question we had is, I was told never to borrow against my 401k. I'm afraid that I'll regret that when I retire. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I would agree with that. It's low on the list, right? It's not your first go-to, because you do pay a penalty when you take money out of that. However, it is an option if you have no other options. I'll be honest, I borrowed against my retirement. Did I take a hit? I did. I had no other avenues. And so I was advised by a financial planner that this was the course that I needed to take. And I did it with help, with my HR department at work helped as well. I would say you definitely need to meet with a financial planner, a CDFA, before you do anything. So I do agree that it's not your first go-to, but if you have no other options, at least that exists.
Kim,
Lisa?
yeah, you mentioned a good thing. First, I might ask you, Kim, do you have regrets? You're not yet hit retirement age. You're a young mother, second
Yeah.
marriage, everybody. You need to hear there's hope on the other side. Never thought she'd have a child and is now the mother of a beautiful 2.5-year-old boy. And I'll speak for you, Kim, ecstatically, happily married.
Oh, thank you.
But do you have any regrets that you had to dive into your 401k?
You know, I don't, because I did it with advice, right? I think if I had just, kind of in a panic done it and then not known the ramifications. I definitely knew what the penalty was, and I was also young. I was 37, so I had more time to recover. If I were in my 50s, probably would have thought differently. Um, but
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of factors here. It's not just a blanket statement. Um,
Agreed.
because
So,
my family was not in a position to loan me any money, and I didn't have a lot of other options. So,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when your back up against the wall, it's important to know what your plan A, plan B, plan C is. And maybe you only have a plan A, which is your 401k.
well,
But you
and just
mentioned a good.
I left an abusive situation, so I needed to leave. I needed, for my own safety, I needed to be divorced. So there was that pressure on me too.
So you're hearing two things at least in that, ladies. And the first is that it very much depends on your unique circumstances. There is no blanket rule virtually to any of this stuff.
Mhm.
And two, Kim mentioned the critical need for financial advice, not just legal advice, and she referenced a certified divorce financial planner. So that is a great resource. And no matter where you are, you can Google certified divorce financial analysts, and there is a website where you can plug in your zip code and you can find a local certified divorce financial planner, analyst. They go by different names, but the fact is they're accredited, they're experienced, and knowledgeable about the divorce journey. And what they'll do is make forecasts for you after they understand your finances that will help you with your decision making. I could elaborate, but in the interest of hearing more questions, I'll leave it at that, ladies. Good question, though.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thanks. And the next question is, my husband is very controlling and manages our financials. He will definitely question why I want the passwords to our accounts. Any suggestions with that?
Sure, I completely identify with that. Well, you may not be able to ask him. It might set him off.
Mhm.
Maybe you're going to have to go about it a different way. Maybe you're not going to be able to attain all those passwords. You don't want to trigger him in this place. You do not want to alert him that you're doing this work because you then will have no control over the circumstances and how he's going to respond. I'd be curious what you'd have to say about that, Kim.
No, I agree. I was in that position as well, which is why I was combing through the recycling to piece together whatever information I could. Because my ex was the same. He was not about to hand over any of that. So I think it's a couple things. I encourage my clients to do whatever sleuthing to whatever degree they can. Taking a peek at the mail, checking, to see, what you have available on the computer. And if you and get what you can, but again, Lisa's absolutely right. You don't want to send off alarm bells, and you don't want to spark something between you and your husband that will make everything worse. Um, you may not be able to get it. You may have to. It may be through the legal process that unfolds. We try to have clients gather as much as they can beforehand, but the reality is sometimes it's during the legal process that information will be turned up, because at least in New York and most states, he'll have to hand it over if you decide to pursue a divorce.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And this next question is, maybe I missed this, but what does CDFA mean?
Ah. So that is a certified divorce financial analyst. or sometimes you'll hear CDFP, which is Certified Divorce Financial Planner. And that's a person who is a financial planner, but they have an extra training, and they specialize in helping people who are navigating divorce and need to separate their finances and create a budget for the two households going forward.
And they often go another layer or two beyond what lawyers will tell you.
Hmm.
So what they know is that if you make certain decisions, you will arrive at different end results financially. So it's really important to know, uh, if you make a decision, for example, is it in your interest to sell the house in the divorce and rent? Is it more important for you financially to hang on to the house, um, and consider selling it or staying in it for the rest of your life? How does that play out financially? So they have a software program that can help you understand what the long-term financial implications are of various decisions without you learning it firsthand in the hard way. So
Hmm.
it's really great information. So Kim and I always recommend, that women consult certified divorce financial planners. And the founder of Savvy Ladies, Stacey Francis, is a certified divorce financial analyst, non-parade. She's incredible, and she's an expert in this field. So you might stay tuned for webinars too that will advance you in this area. Any other questions? Do we have time?
Yes, we just had another question come in, which is, my husband has contributed very little financially to our marriage over the past 20 years. He has not worked or made money for most of the time. He said he will be happy to walk if I give him half of my 401k. Do I need a, a lawyer recommendation or a financial planner's help to tell me if I have to give him half?
You need both, I suggest, but a lawyer is going to tell you black and white. And thirdly, there is a great article on our website, again, written by Stacey Francis, which is talking about this phenomenon that increasingly it is women who are the breadwinners. And it is women who balk just as much as men have in the past about having to split what they consider all their hard work and hard-earned assets. So you are not alone. Increasingly, there are a lot of women who are doing this. Secondly, I might say that in a divorce, uh, you are going to have to split things up, but how they're split up is open to negotiation. Kim, would you agree? So
I do. I think absolutely this is something that you need to speak to probably both a financial planner and an attorney about. It depends on the laws in your state. If you are in New York, for example, there is a likelihood that you will have to share. It may not be exactly 50-50. Again, that's can be part of the negotiation, but it's a reality. If you have been the primary breadwinner for the bulk of your marriage, you likely will take a hit. I'm sorry to say, but um, that the article that Lisa is talking about is, I think you're talking about this one, Lisa. Are you talking about the women pay alimony too? That
yes,
article, right?
yes.
That was written by a different CDFA
Oh,
actually,
okay.
Sarah. But that talks about the reality that yeah, whoever made the more money might end up supporting the other. But you definitely want to get informed and understand what, because we're only hearing that one piece of information without looking at your whole financial picture. It's hard to say exactly what your options are. But I would prepare you by saying that it's likely you are going to have to support him in one way or another.
Okay, great, thank you. And the last question we have is, are there any red flags or certain things that signal I should not be with my partner anymore and begin divorce preparation?
Hmm.
That's a great
That's a
question.
really good question. As Kim and I look back on our marital histories, we can see so clearly the red flags, even
Mm.
prior to marriage, right?
Yeah.
But what we know is that when you're in it, those red flags are pink or orange or gray, you don't see them so clearly. In fact, you override or ignore them. So, yes, there certainly are red flags that we think are
Obvious.
obvious. Yes, I could go on into all kinds of metaphors, but are obvious. And I'll have Kim speak to one. But the fact is that a lot. I'm going to take this question a little differently.
Mhm.
What I know is that when we're considering divorce, we keep thinking there's going to be an epiphany. There's going to be a time where we know 100% incontrovertibly that we must walk the divorce path, that that is the decision. And what Kim and I really know is that rarely are we afforded that. Instead, what happens is that you have to evaluate where is it? Maybe it's 80%. You come to a place where you say, like, it's 80% likely I should divorce, but that 20% is still really loud. That's where my heart is. I really don't want this to happen. I guess what I'm saying is, ladies, don't expect 100% clarity on this. But if you start the process of getting educated and starting to get feedback and starting to talk to somebody who can really give you seasoned advice, it will advance that the scale somehow. And at some point, it will become clearer to you. But it's impossible generally for it to stay clear or get clear if you just keep it in your head, because our mind just is not hardwired that way. We tend to spin and self-justify and excuse and forgive and forget and hope. You need perspective. But as for something that's categorically a red flag, Kim, do you want to perhaps share?
Sure, sure. I think first of all, I would just want to reiterate Lisa's point is that you got to talk to somebody to get the perspective and the feedback you need because your thinking is clouded. All of ours is when you're so close to a situation. It's just not possible to tease it all out on your own because your brain will play tricks on you and will make reasons, rationalize it and make it fit. So you need to kind of confide in someone and get somebody else to look at it with you and process. I mentioned I left an abusive situation and I stayed there for 17 years. For 17 years, I told myself the story that it was going to get better. And so I would say there are certain things to me that are fundamentally the obvious reasons that you need to leave, and they're all about respect. If your partner does not fundamentally respect who you are, and that comes out in lots of ways, name calling, shaming, um,
Physical.
I could go on, but
Yeah.
if you're in a situation where you fundamentally don't feel safe or respected by the other person, then something needs to change. And that might be working on it in reconciliation, or it might be leaving and divorce. But but no matter what, you got to step away and look at it because it's not something you should accept. If you are physically in danger, go. I'm very black and white when it comes to that. If you are physically in danger, you need to meet with someone who can put a safety plan together with you and an exit strategy, a safe one. But that's my thoughts on that.
Mhm.
Okay, and do you have time for one last question?
We do.
Okay, so what do you do if you can't afford a divorce? Is there another course of action?
Good question. I think without knowing any details, there's many ways to accomplish a divorce. Anywhere from doing it yourself, all the way up to what you see on TV, which is a big full-blown trial, and there's a variety of inexpensive ways to do it depending on your situation. Um, Lisa, what do you have? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think I would flip the question and I would ask the caller, can she afford to stay married?
Mm, mm,
What toll is this taking on her psyche,
mhm.
on her body? What kind of model is she leading her children to follow? So, whether you can afford it is certainly something that holds us back, but you have to ask yourself, is this the life ultimately that you were meant to live? And I will plug one resource that has worked for a couple of clients. It's called weborse.com. And if you're in the New York City area, Casey Shevin is a great lawyer, a very good communicator, to quote one of my clients, who can help lead you through uh, a, a mediated divorce. And what's important about that is, and mediation is not for everybody, but it does force you to go to the table and converse on these subjects that you're going to have to navigate with your spouse or soon to be ex anyhow. So wevorce.com is something to check out. It's certainly a more affordable model. But I recommend, or Kim and I would both recommend, that you invest in a legal consultation in any way you decide to do this, so that you are aware of what your rights are. As we've said, you didn't major in divorce in college, so how do you know all these moving parts? You don't know about them. You don't know about their long-term impact. So if you go into a legal consultation with the questions that are really pressing on your heart, you could choose not to use that lawyer, but at least you're going to be hip and savvy going forward as to what you have to be on the lookout, more so than just starting from square one by yourself and relying on what you don't know.
Yeah, very true. Hey, I want to say good luck to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We wish you the very best of luck, and we hope to connect with you in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Kim and Lisa, could you just repeat and spell that website you just mentioned along with the mediator's name? We'll email it out to everyone, but could you just mention it again now, please?
Happy to. So our website is SAS for Women. That's SAS. And remember, that stands for Support and Solutions. So SASFOR Women, WOMEN.com. And then what was the other thing you wanted, Maggie? So sorry.
She wanted wevorce.com.
Ah,
At wevorce.com is something you can visit on the computer. And the local lawyer who's so great with Wevorce is Casey Shevin, Shevin. And do tell her that the ladies from SAS recommended her.
and it's Wevorce, right?
Yeah,
WEVORCE.com.
that's correct.
Right. Okay.
Okay, great. We'll email that out to everyone as well, but thank you for saying it again there now. So I'd like to thank you again, Kim and Lisa, for a really helpful presentation. And I want to thank everyone who joined us today. We hope you'll be joining us again for future webinars. Thanks so much, Kim and Lisa.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Savvy.
Our pleasure, ironically, but it is.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have
Ladies,
a good
bye-bye.
afternoon, everybody.